how people will put up with so much suffering. How many people out there are limping? And you'll see somebody limping, but you won't say a word because you don't know what to do. You know, you might feel for them, but you probably won't because you don't want to get involved because you just don't want to because there's so many people limping. How many people have low back problems? How many people have hip problems? It is an epidemic. And the reality is that what people don't realize, it's all because they're pooping in their pelvis. And believe it or not, people can't let go emotionally and they can't let go physically. And it's actually the waste in here that actually caused the low back problem. Does anybody know that? Does anybody know that, are you ready for this? Pretty sad, eh? 95% of all surgery is caused because of constipation, low back. L3, L4, L5. And it's because you're pooping in your pelvis. But think about it. You know, it's really quite logical. How many people know that there was hardly any hip surgeries or low back surgeries 25 years ago until we started eating so much junk food, sugar, dairy? I mean, Jesus. You know, want to know something? Okay, 25 years ago, you might see a steak or a roast on the table once every 2 weeks. We never ate like that when I was younger. Everybody's eating so many dead animals and so much sugar, so much flour, so much dairy. Okay, we don't eat a small bag of chips. I mean, in Mexico, they're little bags of chips like this, right? They are. And here they're just like big mega bags, right? Everybody's just, they're rotting out. That's what they're doing. Now here, take a look at this. It's called the SI joints, right? Okay. Remember when you were younger, when you would walk women, you'd have that wiggle. The wiggle goes because you freeze here. Okay. Then you waddle. You don't wiggle. You waddle. Almost every woman is waddling because your SI joints, okay, and people, I'm not part of the elite. They're going to go, oh my God, look at, he's doing the elite sign. This is what I get when I show this. People are like, okay. Yeah, but trust me, I can't even do it once and then they come after me. Okay, so anyways, so when we walk, it goes like this. You know what? Right now he's got pain all the way down his leg, and it's all because the actual sciatic nerve is coming right out of the lower spine, comes across the SI joint, and he has caused scar tissue and calcification there. And now the joint doesn't move smoothly and it's caught. So he can't, when he goes to move his leg, he's making his leg longer, but the actual nerve is not sliding. And it's only because it's calcified. If I go in there and do this, it's going to take me probably 30 to 40 minutes. Now, here's the truth. So I worked on a gentleman yesterday. I'm telling you this, okay? I said, well, you know what? He goes, first of all, my arm, I can only lift it up like this. Okay? All right? They want to do surgery. They also wanted to do surgery on his low back. He goes, I don't know what I'm going to do. He could not lift his foot off the ground this far. I know you're not going to believe me, but it doesn't matter. I'm the one with the money back guarantee. I took 1 hour and I worked on his SI joint. One SI joint for 1 hour. And you could say, no, I don't believe you. Well, guess what? I don't really care because guess what? I'll give you his phone number. He just lives up north here. And I know he wouldn't mind because guess what? This is a grown man. And he broke down and he cried for 10 minutes. He couldn't believe it when I got done. He took his knee and lifted it right up to his chest. He took his arm and did a full swing around when I was finished. Do you understand? What? You were there. Well, that was another guy. You can do it to anybody. This was a guy yesterday, but I did the same thing in Adri, didn't I? Yeah, because I was here a year ago. But you can do it anywhere. You could do it in Adri. You could do it in Montreal. You could do it anywhere. The reality is guess what? We have all been dumbed down. I mean, how long have you been suffering with this, John?
Since last Saturday.
But how long have you been suffering with a hip problem? Because it comes and goes. You've had stiff hips. No, it doesn't just come. You know what? We ignore it. We suppress it. We don't want to go to the chiropractor. We don't want the massage therapist, or we just go, it'll go away. And guess what? It's only going to get worse, because what happens is you get this micro tearing. The micro tearing causes inflammation. Inflammation causes dehydration. Dehydration causes scar tissue. And scar tissue isn't elastic. You remember how things would bounce back? Right now, you've got a piece of beef jerky wrapped around your SI joint. And I mean it. You ever eat beef jerky?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's what your back is right now. And that beef jerky has calcification in it. You've been pulling the calcium from your L3, L4, L5, because that's where the sciatic nerve comes out. Do you understand? So if you've got inflammation, you're going to pull calcification from your bones to alkaline, because it wants to alkaline so that it doesn't get too acidic, that we lose the oxygen so that it mutates into cancer. Drop of 35% or more of oxygen in cells will cause mutation. Did you know that? That's the cause of cancer. Go ask your cancer doctor. Go ask a doctor, what's the cause of cancer? He'll start rubbing himself, because he doesn't even know. Right? He doesn't know. And it's not because it's because we're not trained. Okay, you know as well as I do that the whole system's set up to make money, right? If John's in pain, John will take drugs. If John takes drugs long enough, drugs are chemicals, right? Even though the fire's still going on from the inflammation, he won't feel it. He'll be numbed out. But then what happened, the inflammation will cause dehydration, and now they'll have to go in and do surgery, because now he's got osteoporosis of the vertebrae, and he's got dehydration, okay, of the ligaments and tendons around the area. He could even end up what they call a slip disc, which it slipped into his underwear? No, there's no such thing. What happens is it gets inflamed, so it's puffy on one side, and if it gets puffy and inflamed, it's now on a slant, and it looks like it's going to slip out, but it doesn't slip out. It's all just BS. Everything, remember something I told you, that language was created to mess you up. Okay, that's it. So I will go in here if he wants. I'll feel it out. Depending on his personality will depend on whether or not I can do it. Okay, so the gentleman who came in was dragging his foot yesterday, but guess what? He was at a point and he just said, I don't care. And I said, it's going to be painful. I said, I'm going to spend an hour I only spent an hour in this big a spot. It took me 1 hour. When I started, it was calcified and hard. When I got done, there was nothing left. You couldn't even feel the SI joint, because the SI joint is only this big. It's that small. And when you're done, guess what he had? He didn't have this. All he had is a little dimple. Okay, like he was a little baby, because I got rid of it all. Do you understand? Then I worked on his elbow. Oh gosh, okay. And what I did was, so his shoulder was frozen. So they want to do surgery. First thing I did is I worked on his elbow. Most people wouldn't do that. You want to untie the knot here before you go up here. So I went in here and I took the whole elbow apart, in every nook and cranny. I took everything apart. Then I started working up and I saw, and then he had all kinds of knots. And those knots, okay, do you know what they're from? When you get a shoulder problem, you will actually get a knot in your muscle belly. Why? So that if you go to extend this, instead of ripping the shoulder out, it'll hurt in the knot to stop you from ripping your shoulder. How cool is that? I worked on the knots a little bit, but I didn't take them all out, because that's not the root of it. So I did here, worked on the knots, untied them a little bit, but to get rid of all the knots is not the key. Then I came up here and I went and I used my elbow and I came down and I stripped everything. All in here, went both different directions, came back here and the knots were gone. The knots were created, like I said, so that you don't do too much flexion or extension, and cause re-tearing. Okay. So every time, so believe it or not, he says he never felt it before, but it wouldn't be like this. It wouldn't have blown out. So he might have felt like something, a stiff hip or low back problem or something, and then ignored it. Because why? Because we're not taught to actually listen to what our body's saying. If we knew what our body was telling us, which are called signals, remember signals? Your body's signaling you and they're love messages. And what do? We ignore it. If I'm out in the garden, if I'm doing work or I'm doing something, what do we do if we have pain? What do? We push through the pain. And that's what he does, right? He pushes through the pain. And that's why he's here today. He was gifted this body and he was taught to push through the pain. And we will push through the pain because we're not a wimp. And we will push through the pain because we don't know what the pain is. We weren't taught. We were taught to take a drug or maybe go to a chiropractor and have him adjust our hips. And guess what? That'll pop out at the first red light or the first time you put any pressure. Chiropractic, you already know that. Aligning the spine is healthy, but guess what? If we were to do a spinal treatment on you, and it would take us an hour to an hour and a half, we'll go in between every vertebrae, you'll be 1 inch to 2 inch taller because you don't lose your height because you've lost calcium. You know, if you go to a medical doctor, why am I shorter? Oh, because you're losing bone calcium. Well, where am I losing it? Is my head shrinking? I mean, do they even know what they're saying? They don't even listen to people don't listen to what they're saying. It's actually the discs in between the vertebrae. And I guarantee you that his discs are compressed. L3, L4 is compressed. And what happens is he still has all the tissue, he has all the cartilage in between the discs, but it's dehydrated and it's thinned out and it's compressed together. If he came to me, I would work on his SI joint. I'd work on L3, L4, L5, and I would do in between the SI joint and L3, L4, L5, I'd clean that out as well because we're going to find cords in here too as well. If I spent an hour and I did that, okay, he's going to be tender tomorrow. But if he were to put on DMSO gel 3 to 6 times a day, it'll be itchy. And then if he were to put on and hold the pain away essential oil and just keep putting it on as much as he could. Now, if I work on him, he's going to go home right away and he's going to do 10, 15 minutes of hot water on it to keep the blood supply coming there. Then before he goes, then he'll do it again before bed. In the morning, he'll get up and go, oh my God, I'm so stiff. That guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. So then before he goes any further with that kind of talk, he'll go in and he'll do the shower and loosen it up. And then he'll have a shower 3 times tomorrow. And guess what? If he keeps doing the DMSO and the essential oils, and if he were to learn how to do the crabs stretch and the pelvic squats, and then you go in, okay, in about 3 days and you start clapping it lightly with the clapper. And then when the bruising's completely gone, this is where you get to go in and really, and go in and clap that area. And if it bruises, that means that there's still a lot of scar tissue and infection in there because it shouldn't bruise. So if he can take it and just breathe and she goes in and claps it, what does clapping do? Bring the circulation back. So if he does the DMSO, if he does the pain away essential oil, and then when it's almost healed and the pain's gone, he moves to muscle restore. And if he does that, he's going to heal it. And if he doesn't do that and he goes to the doctor, they're only going to give him drugs. Oh, they might say go to physiotherapy, but he's just got to have the scar tissue there. And then he's got to go, I feel better, but it's, I don't have the range of motion anymore. Maybe it's just part of getting old. Understand, you know what old is? Getting old is just more scar tissue in your joints and in your muscles. You want to know something? I'm more flexible than most 20-year-olds. Is that the truth? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You want to see do a pelvic squat right now? I can do it. No, not right now. But I will do it. I'll do it off, and I'll show you guys that I can do it. And you're going to try to do it, and you won't be able to do it. And the reality is, do you know what aging is? Displaced calcium and scar tissue. Sucks to get old. No, it sucks to get scar tissue. And guess what? It comes from your diet and it comes from your mind. And your mind is what controls everything, isn't it? It makes your choices, right? You guys aren't eating the greatest, That's right. You're not eating bad. I said they weren't eating the greatest. Did I say they were eating bad? I said they're not eating the greatest. I can tell that. Okay. But if you want to compare yourself to the majority of the majority of the population is eating an inflammatory diet. Yes or no? That's right. And are they food combining? No. Are they drinking the right water? Enough of it? No. Are they stretching every day? No. Are you getting older? Yes. Are your bowel movements correct? I mean, you know what? If we were a country or a people that respected this vehicle, nobody had, you know, you only have disease because you believe in it. I don't believe in disease. You're only sick because we have sick thoughts. I already told you, your mind, it does everything for you. Now it'll be up to John. And if John wants to do it, then I'll turn off the phone and we'll do it. You know, we won't be going through the products though today. You'll have to do that yourself. So we'll take a vote. Do you want to go through the products or shall we work on John? What do you want to do? What does John want to do?
Give it a shot.
There you go.
Okay, but if you're going to give it a shot, you're going to have to breathe. You're going to have to also, you might have to moan a little bit because I got to go in and pull the scar tissue apart. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Are you okay with doing Cellsonic on him?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is over here, we have what's called a Cellsonic, okay? All right. So we're going to use the Cellsonic. You'll feel a little bit, but it's not painful, but it's 25,000 volts put into a harmonic. And it's going to go in and it's going to actually fracture any displaced calcium in that area. And it's going to put, guess what? What's the difference between a live person and a person that's not alive? No, electricity. Electricity. And guess what? Does everybody know this, that every cell has 1.4 volts in every cell? Does everybody know that we have 50,000 cells? Does everybody know that a human body holds, are you ready for this? This will blow your mind. 750,000 volts in every healthy body. 750,000 volts. We are electrical. And when is the only time you don't have electricity? Okay, and when is the only time you only have little electricity? When you're sick. And electricity is what? It's called the field. And electricity is what signals your tissues. Now, remember what I told you earlier? We have 100 different proteins in every cell. 100,000 different proteins. And those proteins make up amino acids that make the backbone of any cell. And when electricity is coming in, the frequency of the electricity, get it? There's many different frequencies, like hundreds of thousands of different frequencies, depending on your personality, depending on what you eat, what you drink, what you think. That electricity comes in and it picks the different proteins together, okay, to actually bind them together, okay, to create things. That's why, what does cancer cause from? You get a person that is angry enough and has enough negative thinking, and you're signaling negativity into the body, you'll turn a stem cell into a cancer cell. Did you get that? The people who have cancer had to work for it. Okay, between their emotional, their physical, and nutritional lifestyle. She's so beautiful. Why would she have it? Because she hates some part of her life. You watch. If a woman has breast cancer, left breast, okay, it's usually a child problem. If it's the right side, find out if I'm right. It is a partner problem. And understand something. Everywhere in the body where there's disease, I hope you know this, guys. If you haven't bought one of these, you're crazy. It's $95. Is that how much they are here?
125.
Well, that's Canadian. Yeah, I'm talking US.
Mm-hmm.
So they're $125, but it's got everything in it.
Brilliant.
It's got everything that you ever wanted in it. You're going to find it. And the biggest study that ever was done, okay, you're going to find out that I did a masterclass on it, on cancer. It's called The Emotional Chemistry of Cancer, Disease, and Healing, and it's in my library at docofdetox.com. All right, go watch that and blow your mind. And then you're going to go, oh my God, she did have breast cancer. Oh my God, he did have prostate. Oh my God, that was his personality. That was her. Oh my God, yes, her child died. Oh God. See, if you're unable to process, if you can't process something and let it go, what do? You store it. And believe it or not, his SI joint problem, it's from that. It's in there. We have to make peace with things. We've got to make peace with things. All right? The physical body is the end result of the mind. And for most people, it's a landmine. All right. Thanks for joining us today. I probably won't be coming back on because we're going to the John.